expert. Who's that guy in that orange shirt? Who must be the fence expert? Time to talk about the fences. It's time to discuss operations and expenses. It's time, it's really time to elevate small businesses. It's time for Joe to drop his knowledge. It's relentless. This rhyme of mine is getting a bit ridiculous. So here we go. We're live with Joe. Enjoy the show.
What is up, Finch fam? So good to be back with you guys again, virtually, as it were, for another live Ask the Experts, Ask the Experts live Q&A. You get it. We're here to talk about Finch stuff, and you've got me for an hour and a half. Of course, if you've read the description, you'll know we've got guests coming on. Before we bring Luke up, I want to talk to you guys for a few minutes. One thing, if you guys are watching this live, be sure to drop a comments below, regardless if you're watching us on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook. If you drop a comment, it'll show up on my screen. We'll give you guys a shout out here in just a minute. If you guys are listening to this on the podcast, you are listening to a recorded version of a live conversation I host most every Saturday. And actually, we've been pretty consistent lately. The last handful of Saturdays. I don't mean to brag, but we've been pretty consistent at this. Appreciate you guys listening. Like I said, you are listening to a recorded version of Live Conversation. I host most every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11-ish Central. I say ish because sometimes we go a little bit longer because we're having a great conversation. But you can always tune in on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Search Joe Everest, and you'll find me pretty much at any one of those three places, or where you like consuming video content. Also, if you're listening to the podcast and you find value, it would mean a lot if you left a review. Click some stars, maybe 5 of them. Give us a short synopsis of why you like the show. We'd certainly love to see that, and it always helps. Guys, huge shout out, as always, to this week's live sponsor, Expert Professional Wood Care Products. Ashley, Caleb, and the team, Ashley, and the team, however, take incredibly good care of us, and they will take incredibly good care of you. We were a customer far longer than they've been a sponsor. They're a sponsor because we love working with their products. It's the stain that doesn't stink, and that's made a big difference to me and my team. We feel much safer working around it, and I feel better putting it in our customers' yards. I think you will too. Reach out to the team and see what Expert Professional Wood Care Products can do for you and your business. I know it's made a big difference in ours. It can certainly make a big difference in yours. As I said, guys, if you read the description, you know exactly who's coming on. We've got the one, the only. Luke, how are you?
Morning. How you doing?
Very good, very good. Now, over the course of the last couple months, you and I have gotten to know each other better, just working with the West Coast Finch show. For the few folks out there that might not know you, maybe a brief introduction and who you are to your company, and maybe also to the West Coast Finch show.
My name's Luke Bailey. I've been in the fence industry my whole life. I'm third generation. Worked for Bailey Fence. My dad, my uncle started it in 1984. I've been on board officially since about 2001. I'm on the board of directors for the AFA. I'm the past chapter president's committee chair. And for the West Coast Fence show, I'm the chair of the golf tournament. And, we're getting this thing rolling.
Absolutely.
West Coast Fence show moving.
And we're going to get to this, but boy, is it moving. Yeah. Every time you and I talk about updates, there's always something big kind of coming down the pipeline.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I said, we'll get to that. If you guys are watching or listening, wait till towards the end. We're going to get to a big announcement we've got, but man, doing big things in the industry for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, you are also, as you mentioned, incredibly active in the AFA. Past President's Committee, but you're also, so you were on a call that I was on 3 weeks ago, with the Chicagoland chapter, one of the regional chapters. You're also incredibly active with chapters at the chapter level, helping. Really, it seems like you're really in charge of helping them succeed, or trying to help them succeed, something like that.
Oh yeah, no, that's my, everybody kind of has their passion in the industry, and that's my passion as far as the AFA goes. I was a chapter president for 2 terms at for the CFCA, and I was getting ready to cycle out and just do my 2 terms, go back to the chapter and help my chapter succeed. And Sam Williams, who was the incoming president of the AFA at the time, called me and said, "Hey, you should think about running for the CPC, is what we call it, Chapter President's Committee Chair." And I gave it some thought, and I did, just because the way that the AFA has shifted its focus towards chapters and really that grassroots and building it up from the grassroots. They hooked me with that pitch, and they haven't disappointed. It's absolutely what we're doing and what we're working on and what we want to see happen.
I tell you, as just like a general AFA member, so I'm in the Midwest chapter where we've got a pretty decent direction we're headed. But as a general member, it's really nice to see these other regional chapters maybe reinvent themselves. I don't know what the term would be, but to just kind of light a new fire. Like I said, the call we were on was with the Chicagoland chapter, and I tell you what, seems like they are motivated to get that region I don't want to say back on track. It's not like it ever got off track. It's just they're ready to light a new fire under it.
Oh yeah, I've been excited about Kevin's the chapter president out there who just started. I've been excited about him ever since he started to jump into emails, because he's one of the ones that he'll jump into an email and ask a question, and if he doesn't know, he's not scared to ask, and he's giving advice and he's bouncing stuff off people, and then that's so exciting to see that engagement at for an incoming chapter president. There's a couple of them that have been super engaged, and it's really, really cool.
Yeah, you can tell he has a passion for this as well. He was fired up on the call. He was ready to get things going and start getting people together right there in that market, in that region. I'm excited to watch it grow. So it's and Dan Wheeler's in that chapter. So Dan Wheeler's the one that had invited me just to sit in on it. And you want to talk about somebody else that's motivated to see that region succeed. He's really involved in that too. So it's good to see chapters like that get fired up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I think, and I haven't heard this question lately, so I feel like this is being addressed. But in the fence Facebook groups, whether it's any one of the ones, fence professionals or any of those, it seemed like there for a while the question was like, I don't even know what chapter I'm in. Like this is where I'm at. Am I in a chapter? Like, well, yeah. I mean, if you're in the continental United States, you're in a chapter somewhere. But we just got to get you plugged in and connected. It seems like, I say lately, in the last 4 or 5 years, there's been a push to make sure everyone knows, hey, you do have regional chapter. Here's where it is. Here's how it operates. I'm really glad to see that. I know how big of an impact the regional chapters can have on the day-to-day, the month-to-month of just a fence company's operation.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. My regional chapter has been, I mean, they hooked me from my first meeting, and I said it in that Chicago chapter. I've been involved on the local level for 15 years, going to, 4 chapter meetings a year for 15 years. That's 60 meetings. And I'm third generation fence guy. I've been in this industry a long time, and there's not a single meeting that I didn't leave without learning something new. It could be something big or it could be something small, but I learned something just from my peers in the industry. It's such a good experience. And
yeah, the learning, but also the connections.
Absolutely.
Right? Just making connections. I've met more fencers in my region after I got involved with our chapter than I had ever met before. Just we're all busy. It's not like we're making social calls a lot, but when we have one of these meetings, there's typically an event around it. We all get together and we're like, oh, where are you out of? Oh, you're like an hour from me. Like we should definitely let's hook up, let's connect and keep in touch. That way, if you need anything, you know who I am. If I need anything, I know who you are. If we're in each other's backyards, that sort of thing. I've had more of those conversations at just regional chapter meetings than that I have, whether it be at national events or just, in the day-to-day operation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you make the connections, it's beneficial to the business. I mean, we cover a pretty big area in the San Francisco Bay Area, and there's times where our guys are, a couple hours away on a job site. And if they're short, a piece of rail or 10 feet of wire or something, I don't want them driving 3 hours back to the yard and then 3 hours back to the job. But if I know somebody through the CFCA, I can give them a call and say, hey, I need 10 feet of 6 foot. Is there any way my crew can come by and grab it?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's so beneficial. And then the personal level that you get to know people on, when, about 15 years ago now, I had a real minor surgery. And one of the people that showed up at the hospital was a competitor of mine who's a friend of mine, showed up with a big pink giraffe balloon and, and just, showed up when I was in the outpatient surgery thing. And so getting to know people on that personal level and just making friends in the industry, it's just such an awesome experience.
And Luke, I think there's a whole conversation here also just about the fact that, so he's your competitor in your market, but you guys don't just bitterly hate each other.
Absolutely.
For some reason, we got there, right? Yeah. And so Caleb Roth and I were talking about this. Gosh, it's been a while ago about how, when it was my granddad's era, so generation before my dad, 2 generations away, everyone would meet at the coffee shop or the lumber yard. They'd have coffee at the lumber yard while things are getting loaded, and it wasn't that they were colluding. It wasn't just, it wasn't nefarious, but they would all sit around and chit chat. Hey, what's going on with you guys? What's going on with, here's what's going on with us. What are you guys struggling with? Here's something I'm struggling with. Can I connect some dots for you? In my dad's era, it got just as far away from that as you can get. Right? It got into, well, my secrets are my secrets and your secrets are your secrets. And if I share my secrets, it might make you successful and then it'll make me less successful. But I think what we're finding is through these events, usually, we're all sitting around chatting after the dinner meeting or whatever. And what we're finding out is our secrets are a lot like your secrets. They're versions of the same thing, I mean, there's not any groundbreaking revelations about how to Well, I was getting ready to say how to dig a hole, but then that starts a whole argument with the guys that drive posts. I'm not here for that argument, guys. But you know what I mean? Like, there's no like revolutionary, like real secret of this groundbreaking. It's all the same. We're building fence. Like, there's not a brand new way of building fence. There's always different versions of the thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're getting back to that.
That's my, my dad always tells the story of my grandfather, the patriarch, the first fencer in our family, I guess. And, he had a thing where he said, by the time I retire, I'm going to fence in the entire world. And, that definitely hasn't happened. And then, something my dad always says is, at the end of the day, we dig a hole and fill it up. That's what we do, know? And yeah. It's kind of an oversimplification, but you're absolutely right. It's, everybody's secret is pretty much the same. We just name it different or brand it different, or
of course.
So,
and we're better together.
Absolutely.
Right. So to your example, and my guys weren't even in a different market. We just, the project changed on us at first. What it was we had bid this thing with bottom wire. Mm-hmm. They struck it through, said, we don't need that. Okay, that's fine. So we didn't bring it. And then one of their inspectors said, no, this has to have bottom wire. It has, for da. Now, we need you guys to add this. Like, well, I don't have just like several thousand foot of this just sitting in the back of my truck. I was like, I bet I know who will. So I called one of our competitors and said, hey, do you have this 6-gauge the V-twist bottom wire? He's like, yeah. I go, do you have like several thousand feet of it? He's like, yeah, what do you need? It's like, I need whatever, like 5,200 feet, whatever it was. He's like, yeah, just send the guys by. I was like, all right, they've got a company card if you want to run that, or I can drop a check by if you don't want the fees. He's like, just bring me some back. Like, you order some and just bring me back what your guys take, and we'll call it even.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's all. And I would put this industry up against any industry when it comes to the feeling of helping each other, wanting to help each other, and the family feel of it, even if they're not, immediate family, but just like, we're all kind of in the same boat.
Of course.
And this industry, I think, is second to none when it comes to that. I mean, it's just such a great industry.
I don't think there's any market in this country that is small enough to support one fencing professional.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, it just isn't. It just isn't. Now, and there's a whole other conversation about like professional fence companies, right? Mm-hmm. So, but even Springfield, Missouri's metro population of like 250,000, like, we're not very big. And there probably is a debate on what constitutes but there's 4 like established fence companies in town. It's like, if our now, several of them travel, right? They travel out to across state lines, but if it can support 4 of us comfortably, and with a lot more independent contractors out there, then whatever market you're in can support several, right? Oh, yeah. It's not like your success lessens mine.
Yeah, but no, there's not enough companies in this industry to service the work that's needed right now.
No. and that's why we're seeing people come in from other industries into fencing, into related trades, right? Landscaping's a big one for residential. You see ironworkers come in on the commercial side, and they get into security fencing. So that's the thing, is there's not enough of us anyway that are doing good work, that are in a professional way, that sort of thing. So it leaves an opening for someone else.
Yeah, you see landscapers. We see a lot of pavers and guys like that are opening a fence division of their company.
Yep. That makes sense. Well, these people already have trust, right? They already have trust with the customer. They already, both ways. And so they're already in the yard, and it makes sense for someone to say, hey, while you're here, could you give me a bid on this? Yeah, sure.
Exactly.
We're seeing a lot of remodelers on the residential side here. A lot of remodelers get into fencing. They've done big dollar projects inside. So a couple $1,000 fence is just a drop in the bucket for what they've already done. And now, there's a whole different discussion on like quality standards and things like that. But anyway, I don't know how we got down that trail. I know how we got down that trail is we started off by talking about regional chapters and connecting with each other. Just because it's one of those 1 + 1 = 3, right? Mm-hmm. If we collaborate, then we can be better. We can both be better.
Exactly.
And it starts with the regional chapters.
What's that saying? A rising tide raises all ships.
Raises all ships.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know if you listened to Dan Wheeler's podcast
Mm-hmm.
this week. So he had Brad Jones on. And I'm not saying anything publicly that I haven't already talked to Brad about personally. He said he doesn't believe in that the rising tide raises all the ships, because he says that saying is the worst saying ever. I don't know what I'm paraphrasing, but because he said that it raises the docks, and even the ships that are sunk get brought it. He was saying it brings everyone up, and not everyone. Brad, listen, just you cut those boats loose and you take them to the junkyard. I don't know how this analogy works with the saying, but we all need to help each other.
Yeah, that's a pretty literal interpretation.
No, Brad is an incredible guy. So I like to give him a hard time. He had mentioned that though. He goes, I hear guys say a rising tide raises all ships. I can't agree. And he goes, anyway, if you'd like to hear the full discussion, check out Dan Wheeler's latest podcast that came out this week. But no, I absolutely agree. A rising tide raises the ships, and if we both can help each other, then we both end up better for it.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we spend all our efforts fighting each other, then we don't spend any time getting better.
Yep.
So
yeah, I can't agree with you more. That's
so it starts with the regional chapters, but then also we go to events, right? Mm-hmm. So whether it's a national event, FinTech, or a regional event, West Coast Finch Show. Is that a fair categorization? I guess, Luke, is West Coast Finch Show's a regional show? It feels bigger than that though. Yeah,
I think it started as a regional show. It started, the first one we did was in 91. We do it every 3 years. And it started as kind of a tabletop, kind of a smaller show, just because FinTech wasn't coming all the way west.
Sure.
So, a lot of the companies based out of California and the Pacific Northwest would we came together. It was the Southern California chapter, the CFCA, which is Northern California, Northern Nevada, and then the Pacific Northwest chapter got together. And so we could really, bring something to our area. And
of course,
but it has grown so much since 1991. I was looking over the booth sales and attendance and everything, and we have companies from all over the United States. We have companies from Canada. We have some companies from South America coming up.
Wow.
So I'd say that's a little more than regional.
Sure. I'd say.
But we also like that regional, the smaller feel, the more it's more personal. We used to, up until this show, this is the first show we've kind of gone digital with it and allowed people to register online. Before, it was all done via email.
Yeah.
My wife and my kids sat in my garage for 2 weeks leading up to the show, printing badges on those Avery templates and stuffing badges. And we had every September, every third September, I would build in my garage a wraparound table in my garage. I'd take my workbench down and my desk and everything and build this wraparound table so we could do this assembly line of just stuffing badges and, stuffing goodie bags and golf stuff. And so, we like that personal touch. We like that personal feel, So
I love it. And I'll be honest, Luke, I wasn't super familiar with West Coast Finch Show leading up to this. So let's go over the basics. It comes around every third year.
Every third year.
Okay. So last one was in 21.
Last one was in 21. The reason we do every third year is everybody's volunteer. None of us take any kind of, salary or anything, but it's all volunteer. And honestly, we need a year off after it's done just to kind of clear our heads and go, okay, and then it takes, the 2 years kind of build back up. And so that's why it's done every 3 years, just because it's all volunteer and we're all running our businesses. So
now, is it always in Reno?
It has always been in Reno. It was in Sparks before. We moved it in Reno about 5 shows ago. But Reno and Sparks, it's the neighboring city. It's not like it was it was a 50-mile move. It was about a 3-mile move from the Nugget to the Pepper Mill. So
sure. Now I've clicked around on the Pepper Mill's website. I've Googled it a little bit. It looks like a very nice facility.
Yeah, it's awesome. The restaurants there are absolutely wonderful. They have a buffet there that I don't think, if you went there for 3 days, I don't think you could eat from the entire buffet. It's every kind of food, every region. It's amazing. The buffet there, but then there's an Italian restaurant out there that we make sure to go to every time. That's just actually excellent. And there's a steakhouse. I mean, there's a little bit of everything there.
Very good.
You know, they've got a great pool, great spa. They have a club there on site that we actually use on a Thursday night for the exhibitor party.
Nice.
You know, I was telling you before the show that the main reason I chair the golf tournament is because it gives me a reason to get out of the hotel so I can go outside and touch some grass and feel the sun on my face.
Well, that brings up a great point. So let's kind of break the show down into its component parts. So it starts off with a golf tournament.
Yeah, the golf tournament will be Thursday. That's the 5th. It's in Portola, technically California. It is a little bit of a drive, but we provide shuttles so that people don't have to drive out. And, you know, so the shuttles are provided. We traditionally get about 140 golfers. You know, there's cash prizes. We split it into flights. So it's not just, you know, 2 or 3 winners out of 140 golfers or 2 or 3 foursomes. You know, so it is split up. So it is dispersed a little bit better. This year we're going to do, for the first time, it's a $50,000 shootout, which 4 golfers at the end of the tournament are going to get a shot they get one shot from 150 yards. And if you sink it, it's 50 grand right there.
No kidding.
Yeah. So it's, you know, we do longest drive, close to the holes. We do all kinds of stuff. So yeah, so that's Thursday. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Let me ask for a friend that is not good at golfing. Like, how serious is the golfing here?
It's not, it's what it's called. It's a scramble format. So it's 4 people hit, and then you pick the best one, and then you hit from that spot. And it's, I mean, there's some pretty good golfers in this industry. Yeah. There's some sleepers out there, you know. At the last one, someone brought a guy who was like the captain of his college golf team, and they were like unreal. But I mean, it's for everyone. If you've never golfed before, come out. You know, it's just a fun time, and it's some face-to-face time with people. We have sponsors that set up stuff on tee boxes and do little giveaways and stuff. So I mean, it's a really good time, and it's a day out.
Well, and like you said, it's 4 or 5 hours with guys you may not have met before. Those are the scrambles I enjoy the most, that are just like completely random. There's a charity tournament here in town where they don't let you sign up foursomes. Like, you can sign up 4 people, but you can't sign up as a foursome, and they just assign people at random. It's kind of crazy, but like, I feel bad for the guys that get stuck with me. Like, well, listen, I enjoy golf. I have a great time. I am not great at it. Like, it's just, I'm there just to walk around. I see the woods. I see all parts of the course that, you know, good golfers might not ever see. No,
that's my dad was a scratch golfer for years, and he's still a very, very good golfer. And, I tell him all the time, man, you get cheated. We pay the same amount, and I get to see all this great stuff, and you just see the middle of the fairway. How boring is that?
Yeah, over that sand bunker, it's beautiful over there. Like, it opens up into the woods. It's the whole thing.
You haven't lived until you've gone looking for a ball and come face to face with a bear or a rattlesnake or something.
Right? Yeah, you just live safely in a fairway. That's not the full experience.
Yeah, it's so boring.
So I made up a bunch of golf balls for Ozark Fence. We're sponsoring like a lot of local stuff, and of course orange golf balls with our logo on them. And I was talking to our accountant, and because they had our logo, I was like, "Hey, this is a marketing item." And he's like, "Yeah, but like, is it?" Like, listen, he goes, "Are you playing with them, or are you giving them out?" Like, well, I play with them too, but the way I play with them, I'll lose half of them, and someone else picks it up. Like, listen, I'm spreading the good word for Ozark Fence all over this golf course. Like, I don't know where they're at. Somebody's going to pick them up and learn about us, and be thankful for finding this really nice golf ball.
It's funny because SCS out here, Security Contractor Services, Barry Mars, he gives us golf balls sometimes, and that's what I tell him all the time. I say, you know, what's your advertising budget? Because I'm putting these in backyards. I'm putting them, you know, wherever you need them. And I had a supplier one time give me golf balls with my name and the company name on them. I said, I can't hit these, so why not? So if this ends up in someone's backyard, they know who they're looking for and where to find them. Like, you can't do that to me. That
is a double-edged sword, because there's sometimes I've hit some balls where I wish they weren't branded. Like, we give a lot of these out, folks. It could have been anybody. It wasn't necessarily me. But so anyway, so say if someone only golfs like 3 or 4 times a year, they would also be comfortable at this tournament.
Absolutely. After I had kids, I golfed quarterly. I golfed at CFCA events, you know, and that's all I did. I've been playing my whole life, but, you know, for about a good 15 years there, I golfed about 3 to 4 times a year. So absolutely, if you've never
Okay.
golfed before, come out. I mean,
Okay.
it's a good time.
Awesome. Something I'm looking forward to. I'll get with you out separately outside of this and figure out the logistics of it. Um, and this is just my wondering, or my friend's wondering, if do we need to bring clubs with us? Do we need to get the clubs with us?
It's recommended.
Yeah.
The course does have some. This was actually in 21. This was kind of something that came up. They do have rental clubs.
Okay.
But it's very limited.
Sure.
Yeah. There are some places in the Reno area that can rent you clubs.
Okay, but it's better if you bring your own.
It's best if you bring your own, but if you don't, there's always something we can figure out. And there's services out there now. I completely blanking on the name of it now. That'll actually ship your golf clubs to the golf course for you. When you're done, you give it back to them, and they ship it back home for you. So you don't have to bring it to the hotel. So it's a little pricey, but there are services out there to help you out.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So that's happening on September the 5th.
September the 5th. And then after the golf tournament, we come back, and that's when we do we call it the exhibitors party. It's an exhibitors appreciation. They have a club there at the Pepper Mill right above the steakhouse. It's got this balcony that overlooks the pool, big dance floor, and it's an open bar. So that's
can't go wrong there.
Yeah. So that's the night of, everybody goes out there, hangs out. That's where a lot of the networking kind of happens.
Yep.
It's everybody's there,
Okay.
It's a good time.
Then September 6th, the next day starts. We were talking before this. There's some education, but also some certification. Yeah,
there's some education. There's some certification, and that's one thing. Our education is free, except for the GAD school.
Sure.
Because of the certification aspect of it. But
yeah,
that actually goes Thursday, Friday, and testing is on Saturday because it's a 2-day course. But Friday all day, I mean, it's jam-packed full education. We have a ton of stuff going on. We have, 811. I wrote it down here so I wouldn't forget. We got 811 call before you dig. We've got Tony Thornton's going to be there doing the 7 strategies.
Nice.
That's always a popular class. We've got an IT class about how to make your company secure and how to be more productive through IT and through technology. There's going to be a roundtable, a crash and anti-ram roundtable where people are just going to sit around and talk about it. And then how to make safer gates, and there's all the UL stuff and all that stuff. So
good.
And we're trying to add some things. I've heard a rumor that Fence Cloud is going to do a thing there.
I've received an email or two to that effect.
So
I'm looking forward to that.
I don't have any official times or anything like that, but so we're working on adding a few things. We have a classroom that we weren't using, so we're going to use it.
Nice.
Might as well. Better than having it sit there empty.
Absolutely. And so then you've got show floor as well.
Yeah.
Show floor opens the 7th.
3:30 on the 6th.
On the 6th. It's through the 7th. So halfway through the 6th, and then all day on the 7th?
All day on the 7th, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, so let's talk about like a range of exhibitors that are going to be there. Is this going to be like regional exhibitors, or you had mentioned exhibitors coming from South America, just all over, sounds like.
Yeah, South America. We've got some from Canada. We've got people, from the East Coast, a couple from Ohio. I don't have the list in front of me, but it's not just, you're not just going to be sitting there, talking to the guy from Sacramento and the guy from Reno. You've got it. Everybody, all over the country is being represented, and South America as well. I think it's a Chilean company is coming up, and
very good.
A couple of Canadian companies coming in, and so I'd say it's more than just a regional show.
Sure.
We just like the tag regional show because we like the smaller feeling of it, the family feeling of it.
Well, absolutely. That's one thing. I love FinTech to death. I will always go, but you really have to dedicate several days to just seeing the show floor. It's really large, and I always like to stop and talk with different vendors about what they've got going on and what's new or what's improved, that sort of thing. And it seems like I always go in with the best of intentions. I'm like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scan the floor today. Tomorrow, I'm going to come back and just have a lot of individual conversations. I'll keep notes on who I want to go speak to. Well, that never works because scanning turns into like, let's catch up and what's going on. And the end of the first day comes in. I've made it to like the 5th booth or something. I'm like, well, this is not going to work. So there are some benefits to having a slightly smaller show floor in that it's much more approachable to get through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm in the same boat with you. When I go, I have a certain amount of AFA responsibilities that, I have to work the AFA booth, things like that. At the West Coast Finch show, I can work the registration booth and I can, work the show booth and stuff, but still get around and visit with the vendors and talk to people. And, I love Fence Tech too.
Yeah,
I'm a little biased. This is my favorite show.
Of course. So, but in years that you don't have that, like next year, the Fence Tech will be the one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Salt Lake City, I'll absolutely. Oklahoma City was great. I mean, Nashville was awesome. It blew it out of the water in Nashville. It was awesome.
It was incredible. No, I'm pretty excited for Salt Lake City. There's some big stuff coming.
Yeah.
But before that, we get through the West Coast Finch show.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes through the 7th. We've got education, and so most education is free with the exception of the accreditation. Yeah. So if the course has accreditation, there would be a fee just for the accreditation, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's just the GAD school, the Gate Automation System Design.
Okay. All right. So you can pick up education. Well, one, you can start off with a round of golf, which is always a good time. And then you jump right into your education, show floor, of course, networking throughout all of it. One thing I'm kind of excited to see is if there's always seems to be different crowds at different shows, right? Depending on where they are in the country, because I get it. It's not always feasible to come, to your point, from like the Pacific Northwest to somewhere like Nashville. Yeah. But so I have a feeling we'll see a lot of new faces is the point I'm making, is a lot of new groups of people, hopefully.
Oh yeah. And that's kind of the cool thing that we've seen this year, is as we see that the registrations come through, we're seeing, usually it's kind of, you kind of see the same cast of characters when you're doing something that's, regional, that, that's something you've been doing for a long time. And we're seeing companies and names that we've never seen before. And that's awesome. Cool. I hope that this is the first thing that you come to, or I hope that this is your first, trade show or event that you come to, or you've been around forever and this is where you get involved and this is where you get engaged. Like that. That's awesome. I love seeing new names, and if it's your first time or whatever, you don't know anybody, come on. I'll be at the registration desk most of the time. Me, my wife and kids work the registration desk. So, come on up and introduce yourself. I'm glad to talk to you about the industry and about what we've got going on.
Well, and that's the thing, and we had talked about it earlier, just about the collaborative aspect of our community, right? That we're making strides in that direction. So even if you feel like you don't know anybody, to your point, Luke, I mean, I think you could approach anybody. I would encourage someone to come up and say hi to myself or to you and your family, or just really to anybody. That's one of the coolest things to see is it seems like at each show I'll talk to one or two people that's their first show. Like, I never knew if I was big enough to come to these shows or if anything like that. Guys, I wish I had started going sooner, to be honest with you. Just if maybe nothing else, just the networking of it. But then all of the vendor connections. I mean, that's usually, we're living in a post-COVID world to where we don't see our vendors as much as we used to, right? And so that's a great time to see the vendors that already, or maybe to put a face in with a voice that you usually hear over the phone, that sort of thing. Great time to do that, but also meet new vendors, see who's out there and available. But so Dan Wheeler, he terms COVID babies for companies that started during COVID, right? And I think we saw a lot of that. There's the opportunity was out there, and to what we're talking about before, there's still an opportunity. So there's still people getting into fencing. My message to you is go to any of these shows. West Coast Finch shows, the next one on the schedule, you should be there. And even if I talked to a guy that had said that, he goes, I just didn't know. He was like, this is about our 3rd year in business. I didn't know if we were big enough to like come one of these shows or anything like that. Guys, I would say you should come as soon as you can, right? As quickly as you can. There are costs associated. So like, I understand maybe it's not feasible. at this moment. But the moment it becomes feasible, you need to be at these shows. If nothing else, free education, show floor, you get in, talk with vendors, but also just all the networking and connections of people in your area. But also, I've met people from all over the country at these shows. Actually, met some in Nashville, met some fence contractors from Australia that I still keep up with. So you meet people that you would never, ever meet before. My paths would have never crossed with Australian fencing contractors here in Springfield, Missouri. I would have never known those guys. So you have the opportunity of meeting people you may never meet before or in any other way, right? Which only makes you better.
And for those companies that are worried they're too small or they're not, there's no such thing as you're too small. I mean, thing is you're going to end up in a room and around a bunch of people that, I mean, I don't know of a fence company that didn't start with, a guy in a truck.
Right. Yes.
When I was, our doors open when I was 3 years old. And I remember my dad welding in the shop until 2-3 o'clock in the morning, fabricating gates, and then jumping in the truck and going out and putting it in at, 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning. Like that's how everybody that's in that room, regardless how big or small they are, that's how all of them started. So who better to talk to go and have a conversation with, have a drink at the bar with, than somebody that's been there and done it and can tell you what worked, what didn't work, what they wish they would have done, what they wish they didn't do is probably more important.
Yeah. I got a few of those. Yeah.
So I mean, for anybody that says I'm too small or, I'm not big enough, like there's no such thing as I'm too small to come to one of these things. I just think it's such a great just experience. It's such a great thing for you.
I think we also need to understand that the majority, and this is me just saying this, I don't have any data, but my feeling is that the majority of fence companies in the United States, the average weighs more towards the companies that are 3 crews or less than it does the companies that are 15, 20 crews or more.
Yeah.
There are far more independent operators than there are multiple crew companies, if I were to guess.
Oh yeah. I would be right there with you with that guess. Yeah, absolutely.
And guys, so don't feel also that you're in a room that's out of your depth. You're in a room of your peers.
Yeah.
There are more people in this room, when I'm saying at any one of these shows that are owner operators, 1, 2, 3 crews, there are more of those folks at these shows than the guys running 15, 20 crews or whatever your version of, a big fence company is. They're far more small than there are large.
Absolutely.
And I only say that to say, like, you'll be among your peers is what I'm getting at.
Absolutely. And like I say, even the guys that are big that are under the 15, 20 crews most likely started with, their pickup truck and, a welder and a couple tools. And
well, I'll tell you my story. So I met, and I don't like naming names. But I met someone that runs a company that has multiple locations, a bunch of crews. And he was in kind of the same circle that I had been in, just talking about for a couple of days. And then finally one of my buddies like, "Hey, have you met so-and-so?" I was like, "No, nope. He's much bigger than I am. He's probably doesn't." He's like, "No, you should." And so he made the introduction, and then come to find out, like, we had so many commonalities that it was scary. Like we were in such, just because, and this is what I'd come to learn through him, was he's like, listen, bigger companies just mean more of the same headaches, right? Mm-hmm. Like my headaches are similar to yours, just on a different scale.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, we're still worried about, guys not coming in. We're still worried about equipment breaking down. We're still worried about materials not getting here on time or the wrong materials showing up. Ours is just on a different scale.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? So,
or finding the next guy, finding the the next great installer, the next salesman, anything.
Yeah, growing the team.
Yeah, it's.
So I say that to say, if to this, if this gentleman's listening, like or a version of this gentleman that feels like, not big enough to come, or just in a room not of your peers, or you'll be out of your depth, like you should come once. Just give it the one shot. And I say that knowing that once you go, you'll understand what this is, right? That it's just a room of peers. that are all wanting the industry to succeed, and through the industry, they're wanting the industry peers to succeed as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's usually a lot of the times I found that and I tell this to, on the chapter level too, is, a familiar face sometimes makes a big difference. It's the difference between someone showing up and not,
Sure.
if there's someone there that, you've met before, that, you're more likely to go.
Of course.
So like I said, if it's your first time coming to anything, you don't know anybody, come on up. We'll talk. I'll take you through the show. We'll figure this out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So speaking of the show, let me pop this up. So Mark's dropped it a couple times in the comments. If you want to learn more about the show, we've got a link down at the bottom. If you're listening to the podcast, check out the recorded version of this live video on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. You'll find this link as thefenceexpert.org/West Coast Finch Show, and it'll take you right to the website to learn more about the show. Now, and you said they can register through that site as well?
Yeah, they can register, buy golf tickets, register for their classes. If they want to sponsor anything, that's really the kind of the driving force of our show, where everything that all of the money that we make from this, we divvy up amongst the chapters that put it on and give back to the chapter, so they can, I know that my 3 years as president, this show is what allowed me to run the chapter. Especially because I was president during COVID, and, pay downs went away for a little bit, and, so it really kind of sustained our chapter. And, but sponsorships is a big driver of that, of what we can get back to the chapter. So if someone wants to buy their sponsorship there, sign up for any of the events, the education, the golf, all of it can be done right there at the website.
Nice. Yeah.
Or even buy your booth.
Okay.
But we're out of those. So,
well, I was going to say, Luke, we're about 50 minutes into this, so I think let's talk about that.
Okay.
Buying booths. So the last time we talked, you guys were close to being full, and that was the thought and there were close to being full as far as registrations, but there were a few out there that the packets had gone out or the information was out. You knew it was coming back, you just hadn't gotten back yet. Mm-hmm. That situation has changed.
Changed a little bit. Yeah.
So you guys were full as of Friday.
As of
yesterday, but it sounds like a little bird has told me that situation's changing on Monday.
That situation is changing on Monday. We had a call yesterday with the team that's running the website and doing the back end stuff, and we are Monday morning at 8:00 Pacific. We are opening up the floor we're adding 10,000 square feet to the show floor, because we sold out. It's the fastest we've ever sold out. We're really excited to open up the floor and add, like I said, we're adding 10,000 square feet to the show floor, and
yes.
So more booths for sale now.
Here we are in May. Talking
yeah.
about the show in September being sold out and needing to grow another 10,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, we've sold out in the past, but it usually doesn't come until, late July, August, something like that,
sure.
And a couple stragglers. But I mean, to sell out in May is just unbelievable. It blows my mind. Like, it's unbelievable. And, so we're adding the 10,000 square feet. That'll be live on the, through the westcoastfinchshow.com. Okay. You can go there and purchase a booth. And 8 a.m. Pacific time.
Yep. So if you guys have reached out in the past, and heard that the show was full, go to the website, 8 a.m. Pacific on Monday. You'll be able just to pick up your show floor or your show space there, your booth space.
Yeah. And like, I know that a lot of companies don't buy one booth, so the last little while we've had kind of one booth scattered throughout because everybody's kind of bought their 2-pack or their 4-pack, but there's some booths that are definitely together, so you can buy a pack of 2 or 4 or whatever you want to take a look at. But
absolutely,
so that's exciting news. So we're really, really excited.
So guys, as someone that's attending this, so I'm obviously going. Mark and I are going to bring the video equipment. We're going to do lives from the show, just similar to what we did FinTech, but also I'm going to walk the show. And I can't tell you how excited I am that there's going to be so many vendors that you've expanded it in May.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, this is huge.
Yeah, no, we're really excited, and we're, it's like I said, it just blows my mind that we've done that in May. It's already sold out. Like that's just so really, it's just really cool. It's just
absolutely. Now, and I hope it's okay if I share this. We talked about beforehand that if it all sells out, it'll be the biggest West Coast Finch show ever.
Ever. Yep. That'll be the most booths we've ever sold.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah. So that's a good goal to have. A good goal to reach.
Yeah. Biggest ever is a very good goal to have.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Well, and I think we're headed in a good trajectory, right? If it's already expanding in May, I think that because like we talked about before, Finch folks are not the best at planning ahead. So so you might, I know this comes as quite a shock, but there might be a few stragglers come through last minute. So
the day of, that's what we were talking about. I'm on my way to the golf course and people calling me saying, "Hey, can I get into the tournament?"
but guys, so hear this though, like the expansion already happened, right? Yeah. So once the expansion's full, the expansion's full. Yeah. So there's obviously a lot of interest in this. There's a lot of vendors that are planning to attend. If you're a vendor or if you're with a vendor that hasn't, but is thinking about it, now is probably the time to get in on the floor before the expansion is sold out.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, we're pretty much maxed out.
When it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
Man.
Get on it.
Oh, like I said, as someone that's going to walk the show floor, that makes me so excited to hear that, that there's so much interest here that it's already expanding. It's already growing. There's going to be that many more vendors to check out, to have conversations with. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is at these shows, I mean, we have access to the internet, right? So theoretically, we have access to all these companies via the internet, email, whatever. I can't tell you how many times I find vendors that are new to me or a tool offering from one of them that's new to me at these shows.
Oh, yeah.
That I should have known about, right? Because the internet's here. Like I should have seen it or heard it. Or the problem is like the internet's this vast ocean. So like they're like, well, we've been doing marketing efforts. They just haven't reached you. Yeah. Waves across the ocean don't necessarily ripple onto our shores, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see that, right?
Yeah.
See new vendors, see new vendor offerings. I mean, obviously meet new fencing contractors and just make new connections. But, this is going to be very good.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, the only thing I can keep saying is we're excited. I mean, we're so excited that this is happening. So,
So it's going to be Reno, Nevada.
Reno
at the Peppermill.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about Reno. So I've never been. Obviously, like we've been to Vegas, but it sounds like just my understanding of it is it's like a version of, but on like a, I don't want to say smaller scale, but like on a more like intimate scale, maybe. I don't know how to say that. Well, how would you describe Reno?
I mean, the tagline for Reno, their city motto, I guess, what's when you drive the strip, it's a big sign that says Reno, Nevada, welcome to Reno, the biggest little town in the West. So that's there. It was founded by silver mining, and it's just it really is. It's a smaller Vegas.
Sure.
So it's a cool little town. I mean, I call it a little town. It's, probably 10 times the size of the city that I live in, but
right.
It's a really cool town.
Nice.
If you wanted to come there for 3 days, you could easily not leave the Peppermill, but if you wanted to, one of the main reasons we moved from Sparks and the Nugget to the Peppermill is, the facilities were upgraded a little bit, but also it's right there, right next to the strip. So you've got, some other places you could go if you wanted to. We don't recommend it. We'd like you to stay in the Peppermill. Because they're so good to us. But yeah, there's tons of stuff to do.
I love it.
It is a cool town. And the weekend of the show, they have these Reno, the air balloon races.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You can actually, from the hotel, you're not at the races, but you can see all these air balloons fill in the sky, and it's pretty cool experience.
No
it's
kidding.
Yeah. So
one thing I thought was, and this might just be my perception, but I found it surprising, like how easy it is to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know what I thought, but I was like, are we going to have to catch a flight to Vegas and then catch another flight to Reno? Like, how is this going to work? No, it's just you fly right into Reno.
Yeah.
I don't know what I thought it was going to be, but it was much easier than I thought.
Yeah, and it's a I think it's a 5 or 10 minute Uber depending on when you get in there. From the airport to the pepper mill.
Sure.
It used to be an issue. I mean, when there was the Southern California chapter, when they were a thing, and the Northern California chapter, that was always our big argument was, do we do Reno, Vegas, because it was so much easier for everybody to get to Vegas.
Sure.
But Reno, and I don't want to compare the two cities, but just,
sure.
Reno's definitely smaller, but just that the casino treated us like they wanted us there, so that was what our big selling point was, that they're asking us to come, they're giving us stuff to come.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the deciding factor was. But a lot of people in Southern California didn't like it because they couldn't get there. You couldn't get directly there. I know for a fact that the last time I was up in Reno, I flew directly from Reno to LA. So I know you can do it. I know it exists. but
that's what I was looking at. So now from Springfield, Missouri, we fly directly nowhere. Like no, that's not true. We can fly directly to Dallas, Atlanta, or Chicago. And that's your direct flights.
No Denver?
Well, it depends on the airline, I think. But yeah, so I was like, well, let's just see like how many connections it's going to take. One connection.
There you go.
I like, well, I also had one connection going to Nashville, so that it just the same.
Yep. There you go.
Like I said, I don't know what I was expecting, but it was much easier than what I expected.
Yeah.
And the airfare wasn't. I don't know. I expected it to be really hard and to be expensive. It wasn't hard, and the airfare was similar to if I were flying, anywhere really. Yeah. So that was surprising as well.
Yeah. No, it's definitely gotten easier to get to as time has gone by.
Yep, absolutely. Guys, we are almost an hour in and we have said hello to no one. So let's say hello to a few people. Let's go all the way to the top. Roger was the number one comment. First comment in. Good morning, Joe, Luke, and the rest of the Fence fam.
Good morning.
Good morning, Roger. We know. Speaking of Canadians, we know this guy. Front Rock Fences. Good morning, Uncle Joe. I don't know about the Uncle Joe. Okay, but he gave the shocker. So, hello. Good morning. Justin says, good morning from Iowa, outstanding a 3,000 square foot deck and then another pool. Justin, question is, if it's 3,000 square feet, is it a deck or a pavilion? Yeah. There's got to be a line there somewhere. I think you're pretty close to it. Then he follows it up. So staying it with mahogany. I love my fence at home is actually mahogany. I love mahogany a lot. Pool deck afterwards, also mahogany. Love listening to your show, Justin. I appreciate you tuning in. Little known fact, that's actually Justin in the thumbnail. So he's just ripped and shredded all that. Some of you might think that's a Photoshop. I don't tell him that. He'll challenge you. CNS Vinyl says, howdy from the Hurricane State. Hello, CNS. I appreciate you tuning in. Kevin Lint. What's up, Joe? What's up, Kevin? Listening as I'm sitting on the mower today. Kevin Lint with Elite Fence out of Raymore, Missouri. Right in our backyard, more or less. What's up, Kevin? Seth. Oh, man, Seth. I'm going to guess on this one, and I'm going to say it wrong. I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I'm going to say Reich, maybe?
That's what I thought, too. So
okay, well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Seth, good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you, Seth. Anthony reminds that. Anthony took Roger's spot on reminding everyone to hit the like button. Usually Roger's on the ball with his positive affirmations. I don't want to say you're slipping, but Anthony got in here first. Hit that like button. It's free and it helps the channel. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Why not?
Oh, and then Roger says, way to go. Hey, gracious. You were very gracious with that, Roger. What he said. And then, as always, guys, we've dropped links for the West Coast Finch shows several times in the description or in the comment section. Click the link; it takes you right to the West Coast Finch show website. If you're a vendor, you want to get in now because, like I said, it's filling up fast. I feel like I'm just saying a bunch of cliche sayings, but they're all applicable, right? Like it's literally filling up fast, and when it's gone, it's gone. So
it's gone. And the other thing also is the room block. We have negotiated room rates, and you use the code as WCFS 24, I think, West Coast Finch Show 24.
Okay.
But those also go quickly. So
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. So get in early, guys, for the room block as well. Whether you're a vendor or just attending, you want to get that done pretty quick.
Absolutely. Don't procrastinate like most fence guys.
Well, we've got a comment to that effect here in a little bit. I saw pop through here. Daniel Brown, so the Midwest chapter president, hops in to say, just a reminder that we are less than a month away from the AFA Midwest chapter fishing with fencers. And if you try to say that 10 times fast, like fishing with fencers, guys, if you are in the Midwest and you can attend, you absolutely have to do this. The stripers, Luke, have you seen the pictures for this event that Daniel's put out?
Yeah, I have seen a few of them. Yeah,
the stripers are bigger than this viewing area. I think. Like I don't know that for a fact, but from the pictures, they look massive.
Yeah, they do.
I'm not bringing my youngest child because they might eat her. You don't know. But no, these fish look absolutely massive. You guys should absolutely attend. Check out the AFA Midwest Facebook group for more information on fishing with fencers. And then also we've got a golf tournament coming up later on in the year. So tune in for that.
And also next week we've got the West Memphis golf tournament too.
That's right. That's right. Man, that Memphis chapter. Holy cow. I mean, man. They seem to be like the chapter. Most other chapters are really like, can we run events like they run events?
Yeah,
that would be great. This golf tournament is massive. That they put on is massive.
They do awesome. It's on my. I've got two major events on my fence bucket list, and that's one of them.
Absolutely.
That and Carolinas by the Sea are the two that I keep trying to get to, but every year I just can't do it. And so.
That's the thing is like it seems like calendars fill up fast as well as everything else.
Yeah.
Matt says, "Hey Joe Everest, have you ever built a Japanese torii gate?" I have not. I'm not actually familiar with that term at all. Not that that means anything, but Luke, does this ring any bells?
Absolutely not.
Okay, well. But it's one of those things like it might be called something else, and as soon as you say the something else, we go, oh, well, or if you see a picture, you go, oh, that's such and such. Okay, yeah, I do know that. Yeah. But unfortunately, Matt, I'm striking out on this one. We know this guy, Ken Throckmorton.
Ken.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Ken. I don't know about you, Luke, but anytime I see Ken mentioned, I just think at that moment, so like he probably typed this from a grill. Like as he's cooking, like I mean, it's 11 Central, so he's grilling lunch and he's probably already smoking something for dinner. He's just always cooking.
Absolutely.
Dan Wheeler says 10K, mind blowing. Dan, I agree. That's a heck of an addition. 10,000 square feet. Oh. Okay. we're just going to put this one up here, and then we're going to take it down. Matt says, I love your videos about that home Reno guy who doesn't really know too much about fences, apparently. Okay, that's a nice way of saying that.
This guy?
I couldn't believe it. Like, that literally is how my kids my son specifically measures things. He's like, Dad, I'm basically as tall as you are. Like, you will be, I promise, but you're not now. He goes, yeah, see? Whoop. But that's not how we but I saw Jeff Measure's post like that. I was like, oh man. And he's about as accurate.
I'm playing the NBA next year. I'm 6'8".
Right. This fence is easily 8 foot tall. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. But all right, well Corey says, typically Fencer looks at his schedule 2 weeks out and thinks a few 12-hour days and I can squeeze this in. That's exactly. We were talking before the show, and we're going to have some content for you guys from Nationwide and Tampa, Nationwide Industries in Tampa. We're going out there next month, and I was very proud of myself that I'm already on the ball as far as that traveling goes, and it's a solid month away, which means that is 3 weeks earlier than I typically book things. So
3.5.
That's what we'll have a meeting and I'll go, all right. They'll say, hey, you've got everything booked for the travel for that? Yeah, I do. I just have to leave this meeting really. Boy, look at the time. I think you guys got this one. I'll catch you on the next meeting. I got to go. Justin says, just floor. Oh, that square footage was just flooring by hand and listing helps. 3,000 square foot by hand. That is a lot of deck to stain, Justin, for sure. Chungy says, hey guys, hello. Evan Gardner says, hey guys. Hello, Evan. Appreciate you guys watching, listening, tuning in. Look, I tell you what, we were talking beforehand. I'd like to have you guys and other members of the committee on as this gets closer. I mean, I'd love to talk with you closer when it gets closer to golf, just to learn more about it. That's something, like I said, as long as there's a promise made, not to like mock me incessantly. Like I would like to play. I'm not good at playing. The events I golf at are the Midwest golf events, and then we've got Boys and Girls Club event here, and then there's another like a Sertoma charity golf thing. So about a solid 3-4 times a year for me.
Hey, that's enough.
But we'll talk more about the golf, where it's going on, more about the course, the format, just all things golfing. Also, love to talk with Zach about the education. Kind of what's to be expected, who's coming, what we're going to learn, that sort of thing. And then I'd love, so to give a brief history. So your dad has been involved with this show from the beginning?
Right around the beginning.
Yeah, towards the beginning.
Yeah.
I would love it if, and this is, I understand not everyone's comfortable having these conversations on a camera, so that's absolutely, but I would love to get a history of the show. Just kind of learn about how it started, where it came about. Just that's always interesting to me is just like, how did we get here? Right? How did we get to a show that is possibly on track to be the biggest show ever, the biggest West Coast Finch show ever? How did we get here? Mm-hmm. That's always super interesting to me. Also love to talk more in depth as it gets closer, vendors that are going to be there, just basically what people can expect to happen at the show. I'd love to check in with you guys probably monthly, just kind of a different person with the committee, just about their area of the event to learn more about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I love it. Guys, if you're watching this as a recorded live, if you're watching this after the live, it turns into a recorded live. Still drop comments and questions in the comments below. It still pops up to the team. We see them. If it's a question for Luke, we could certainly forward it to Luke. If it's a question for us, I'd be happy to answer it even after this live turns into a recorded live. It pops up. The notifications pop up on my phone for better or worse every time. So, but be sure to drop a comment. Now, let's talk for a minute. The comments don't necessarily get answered like in real time because sometimes there are a lot of them. I also happen to run a fence company, so that takes a little bit of time too, but I definitely make my best effort to get everyone answered in a timely manner.
But you mean you have a life?
I got like 3 or 4 lives. It feels like it's just like right after that. So right after we're done, I literally change, and then so my son's 6. I hope he's not watching, or else I'm going to really blow this one. He's probably not, but so he's 6. He loves dinosaurs.
Okay.
Well, there's like a pop-up dinosaur show going on downtown. It's today and tomorrow only. And tomorrow, now I don't know who planned this, but I was like, I don't know if your attendance is going to be that big on Mother's Day. Like, I don't think, hey mom, let's do brunch and go to the dinosaur show. That would be fantastic. But anyway, so, but yeah, so sometimes it feels like 2 or 3 lives. Like, all right, so I got a full family plate and a full business plate, full show plate. But anyway, so I say all that to say I would love to get back with you in a timely manner, and I typically do. But don't be offended if I don't. Yeah. Luke, thank you so much. I know this was an early morning on the West Coast, so I appreciate you making time to come on.
Yeah, no, of course, anytime.
I look forward to learning more about the event just as we catch up with the different committee members. Guys, I'm serious. If you haven't been, you need to go. I've never been, and I am incredibly excited to go to the West Coast Finch Show. You won't have another opportunity till 2027, if my math's correct on that one. If I carry the 3, I think it gets us to 27. But you won't have another chance for another 3 years. Guys, this is turning out to be the biggest show ever, quite possibly the biggest show of the history. You want to be there. I am excited to be there. I think you should be there as well. Of course, if you're a vendor or company, if you're with a vendor or company that hasn't scheduled a booth, you better get on that pretty quick, because when it's full, there's no more expansions. So get in on this one while supplies last.
Absolutely.
Luke, like I said, thank you so much. I appreciate you making time.
All right. Of course. Thank you.
Of course. Guys, appreciate you watching. As always, we will be live next Saturday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, to talk all things fence and to answer any and all of your questions. For now, Joe Everest, the fence expert, reminding you that good fences make good neighbors. And Brad, a rising tide does raise all the ships. I'm standing by that one.
Absolutely.
We'll